You send a message to someone you were close with. They read it. No reply. Then nothing, ever again. Why would someone just vanish on a person they actually cared about?
Why do people ghost others?
Okay, but just think about what actually happens if you have that conversation. Like, what if they get really upset? What if they cry? What if they get angry and say something awful and then you just have to stand there and take it? Or, I don't know, what if they ask you to explain yourself and you don't even have the words? That's a lot. That is genuinely a lot to walk into on purpose. So silence just, it feels safer, right? Like, at least if you disappear, nothing bad can actually happen in that moment. I know, it's not great, but the brain is just trying to avoid the worst case. The conversation feels like a minefield and ghosting feels like, just not stepping onto the field at all. It's not really distance, it's just avoidance wearing a very convincing disguise.
Why do people ghost others?
The problem with having a direct conversation is that you cannot predict the outcome. You do not know what the other person will say. You do not know how they will react. You do not know how long it will take or where it will end. That is a significant amount of uncontrolled variables for one interaction. Ghosting, by contrast, produces an immediate and predictable result. The situation stops. There is no back and forth. There is no unexpected emotional response to manage. The person who ghosts is not necessarily cruel. They are simply choosing the option that gives them the most certainty. When they cannot control how a conversation goes, they choose the one move that removes the conversation entirely. It is not a kind solution, but from a purely structural standpoint, it is a very effective way to eliminate unpredictability.
Look, champ, nobody wants to be the villain. That's the thing people don't say out loud. You tell someone you're done, now you're the bad guy. You rejected them. It's on record. But if you just disappear, nothing was said, nothing was confirmed. You didn't explicitly end anything. In your own head, you're still the decent person. Still someone who just drifted away. Not someone who looked someone in the eye and said they weren't worth continuing. There's also the other side of it. Admitting you changed your mind? That looks inconsistent. Looks weak. Like you didn't have it figured out from the start. Strong people don't backtrack, so you say nothing. You stay clean, your reputation stays intact. That's the move. Not the right one, but it protects the image. And for some people, the image is everything.
Why do people ghost others?
Okay, dude, honestly, think about it from a pure comfort standpoint. You've got two options, right? Option one, you sit down, you have this whole awkward conversation, someone's upset, there's guilt, there's drama, maybe tears, and your whole evening is just totally ruined. Or option two, you just don't reply, and immediately, like instantly, that discomfort is just gone. Your night is fine, you move on. Like, bro, the brain is not going to choose the hard, uncomfortable thing when the easy thing is right there. Not gonna lie, it's kind of terrible for the other person, but in the moment, it just feels like such a relief. And if something new and exciting is already on the horizon, that old connection just kind of stops feeling worth the effort. The short-term comfort just totally wins, even if it creates a whole mess down the line.
Well, yes, if you examine it rationally, the person doing the ghosting has essentially performed a cost-benefit analysis, whether consciously or not. The cost of explaining themselves, navigating an emotionally charged exchange, potentially prolonging contact they no longer want, all of that is weighed against the cost of simply not responding. And in many cases, particularly early in a relationship where terms were never formally established, they may genuinely convince themselves that disappearing communicates the same information as a direct conversation, only without the friction. There is a certain flawed logic to it, honestly. No message eventually becomes its own message. The problem, of course, is that this reasoning prioritizes the ghoster's comfort entirely and ignores the ambiguity it creates for the other party. Put simply, they decided disappearing was the most efficient exit.
Why do people ghost others?
My child, when someone vanishes without a word, it is easy to search yourself for the reason, to wonder what you said or did not say, what you were or were not. But silence is rarely a verdict on you. It is usually a reflection of the person who went quiet. Some are running from a conversation that frightens them. Some are trying to keep things tidy when they feel messy inside. Some are protecting an image they are not ready to let go of. Some simply chose relief over honesty because relief was closer. The ghost that lingers is not the person who left. It is the not knowing, and that uncertainty can ache far longer than any clear ending would. But an ordinary goodbye, however uncomfortable, closes a door. Silence leaves it open just enough to keep you standing in the hallway. Most people who ghost are not cruel. They are simply not yet brave enough to close the door.
If you made it this far, you're gonna want to see what comes next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss our next video, and click the video on screen now to keep learning more. See you in the next video.